Hello everyone and welcome back to the place where we check in with all of the latest happenings from the world of the IPL 2022. Now obviously yesterday's match was a bit of a thriller. Obviously it wasn't not much of a thriller if you're a Gujarat Titans fan, but if you're a Royal Challengers Bangalore fan, you would have loved every second of it. Not only was Virat Kohli back in form, but RCB's win also ensured that they stay in with some hope of making it to the playoffs and are currently, as things stand, in fourth place. But obviously there's a lot to talk about from the match, and one of the more noteworthy incidents was Matthew Wade's dismissal. That was pretty controversial to say the least. If you remember, he looked like it seemed like on camera at least that he had inside edged one onto his pads, but because there was no edge shown on ultra edge, so he was actually given out. Now that was something that left him very miffed, and as we know, he was caught on camera afterwards, not only very visibly disappointed at the dismissal, but also when he reached the dressing room, he threw his bat, threw his helmet, ended up hitting his bat against what looked like a sofa, and due to that he ended up getting reprimanded. He caught a level 1 offence on the breach of code of conduct, and that is kind of understandable in some ways, but what's also understandable is the fact that the Aussie was visibly frustrated because to the naked eye at least it did look like there was some sort of a deviation when the ball passed the bat and then hit the pad, but for some reason ultra edge didn't work really well, and you can understand also why it is that the umpires chose to stay with that decision. But that being said, not a very good look for the league that is arguably the best T20 franchise league in the world. Moving on from this particular incident to other noteworthy things that took place, you had of course a certain Mr. Virat Kohli himself finally find his form at the top of the order, scored a wonderful flowing 70 odd, and was arguably the key reason why RCB ended up winning that match with such ease. Now, obviously, I'm showing you this tweet here where he talks about patience and belief, but the thing that I actually want to talk about has nothing to do with any of these pictures, but it's an incident that I can't show you on this show for legal reasons, but I can talk about it and you can go and Google it for yourself. It did happen. It was pretty funny that at one point when Shubman Gill got out, Virat Kohli chose to send him off by doing a very something that most pro wrestling or WWE fans would recognize instantly, and I'm going to do the motion right now. When he was going off, he did this. Obviously that's a throwback to the Undertake, who was earlier this year inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and the whole rest in peace throat slash was something that he did to his opponents to signal that it was game over. Very interesting to see Virat do that to someone who's so many years his junior, but we know that this version of Virat Kohli, the one where he's pumped up, fired up, giving everyone send-offs, is arguably the best version of him. The mellowed down version of him doesn't seem to be as successful, so if you're an Indian cricket fan, you'd be happy to see Kohli back in his element, not just with his on-field behavior, but also and more importantly with the bat. Now, that isn't the only major talking point from yesterday's match, because there was also the small incident that happened, which, I mean, you could argue definitely it might not have necessarily impacted the result, but it most certainly would have, not left a sweet taste in the mouths of those who had to suffer from it. I am referring to the incident where Rashid Khan ended up getting Glenn Maxwell out for a golden duck, and then the bails once again didn't move. I mean, we saw the stumps light up, but because the bail stayed in place, Glenn Maxwell got a very lucky reprieve, went on to score 40 runs of 18 balls, and pretty much finished the game from there on out. And of course, a team that has suffered from a similar twist of fate, let's call it, has of course been the Rajasthan Royals. And well, let's just say that they saw the funny side of things, because they posted this wonderful little meme saying leg spinners, bails, and main hi girunga. I mean, I kind of understand their frustration, and of course props to the Rajasthan team for once again winning hearts, not just on the field but also with their social media game. As I have said many times in the past, one of my favorite follows, and they should be on your list as well. Last but not the least, we go to my beloved Kolkata Knight Riders, who broke my heart 2 days back, but whatever, who cares, right? Apparently lots of Kolkata fans, but anyway, they have posted a nice little tribute to Brendan McCullum, where they've talked about a decade of memories. Obviously, as we know, McCullum is going to be stepping down from his role as KKR head coach. He's going to be taking up the role as the head coach of the England men's test team, and obviously it's been a bit of a mixed appointment in that regard, because I mean they did reach a final, but this year they often look disappointing. But classy of them to give him a nice little send-off like this. Nice way to pay tribute to a man who, after all, was in many ways a legend for the franchise. And that, I would say, will be it for this particular edition of our little news update. If you've been joining me on a daily basis, thank you from the bottom of my heart. But don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave us a comment below. We love reading what it is you have to say. And last but not least, don't forget to download the Gamezy app for all of your fantasy gaming needs. As you know, you stand a chance to win up to 5 crores daily, and you can make multiple teams in multiple phases of the game, whether it be one team for the whole match, one team for an innings each, and you can even make teams for 5 over slots and increase your chances of winning. So what are you waiting for? Download the Gamezy app and get playing. As always, I'm Shane Reyes, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye bye, take care.